There and hi everyone. My name is Bruce, and today with me is a lovely Janet from another planet. Actually, she's
Hello.
over here. Okay, Janet from another planet's over here. And Janet, what movie did you watch today for the first time in your life?
I watched Spacehunter, The Adventures in the Forbidden Zone.
Forgot about the 3D part.
Oh, yeah. Well, it didn't say that on the part that I found.
It actually says that in a lot of marquees, though, and a lot of posters. A lot of I don't know. Does it say at the start of the movie?
I,
I don't
I
know.
don't know. I didn't see that. But
The Yeah, this movie's kind of an interesting film.
it came out in 83, and
Yeah,
it
right.
cost 14 million to make.
14.2 million to make. You want
I
to
wonder
know?
how much they paid the actors, though. I wonder what the breakdown for that was, because it seems like that was a big chunk of the movie.
Um,
Now,
this is an interesting film for the fact that the actors got a lot of money and the prop masters, the guys that built all these re-rigged vehicles on truck and Dodge pickup chassis.
yeah.
That the props in this movie are why I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, they
Uh,
did really good. I mean, with the practical stuff, I was impressed with the one scene that had the all the packing products basically hanging from the ceiling. You know, plastic and bubble wrap and rope and string, and just it was like they used every scrap they could find that was around the warehouses around the studio to make stuff because it just looked recycled, and which is what it's supposed to look like because it's
yep.
a barren wasteland basically, and it looked like stuff that they scavenged off of ships or trucks or other vehicles, and that's what they had stored in the warehouse, and they used it for different things. But basically, that one scene with those weird fat baby uh, blob monsters that were hanging from the ceiling that made those make weird, really weird, gross noises. that she had the most emotion at all from the whole movie in that scene when she was screaming at the creatures when they were coming up out of the plastic. So I just thought that was interesting because I remember seeing it when they walked by, and I was like, they didn't even, he didn't even look to see if there was anything hiding in there because there were big blobs of plastic. Why would they be hanging from the ceiling unless they were used for something, some kind of something?
No idea why they
So
were
he
hanging.
wasn't a very good adventurer for somebody supposedly that made his living flying around hunting for things in space, like a bounty hunter or whatever type thing. Kind of like, like I said, when we were talking about it from the TV show Firefly or from the movie Firefly, that's
But
what that character reminded me of.
I want to say like there's a definite break in quality. If you watch the Serenity movie, which was made for 20 million dollars in 2002, and you
Yeah.
get all the special effects and all the fight choreography and all the
Mhm.
actual action in that movie, which is really good for like almost a 2 hour film. I think it's almost 2 hours, and
Yeah.
it's a
It seemed long.
it seems like a very long film. It's actually really good as a season ender. I don't know if it wasn't conceived like that, but they did that just to wrap up that story. That way, they Joss wouldn't have to really come back to it again. That's why he killed off two of the main characters. Um, it
Which ones?
he killed off the preacher and the pilot.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Have you ever seen Serenity?
Yeah.
Okay, because
Serenity, wasn't it based on the Firefly series?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that you didn't remember that the preacher passed, and then at the very end,
No, I
River
thought you
Rock.
were talking about. I thought you were talking about this movie.
Oh no, not this
That's
film.
why I was
But
like trying to.
I'm
Okay.
putting these two films side by side because Serenity Firefly is when you have talent behind the camera, and this movie is when you have a big name, Ivan Reitman, and a bunch of nobodies, and nobody important in the choreography or fight or stunt department, because I feel the action in this movie is pretty garbage. I think all the action in this film, like if there's any pyrotechnics go off, there is such a void of space, a chasm of space between where the Molotov gets thrown and where actor A or B might be at.
Mhm.
There's no tension, and this movie lacks a lot of tension for me. And the movie, the main character, I would expect him to be a little lighter on his feet. I'm not saying that he's a fat fuck like me, but he is in his mid 30s in this film, and I would
Mhm.
expect him to be a veteran soldier or a veteran rogue and be kind of zipping around a little bit more, because his lifestyle depends on him being able to grab something, put it in his scrambler, get to his ship, and GTFO. But instead, he's like one of these guys plodding along, playing a game like Morrowind or Skyrim. Let me find all the herbs in the area, and let me find all the stuff that I can. Oh, somebody's shooting at me. Let me get some cover. Oh, look over here. There's a snail. I could use that for my armor skill. What the fuck? I'm having a problem with this film because Peter Strauss is not the right guy for Han Solo Timu version, and that's my biggest problem. He's a decent actor. He's okay, but he's the wrong guy for me in this film.
Well, to me, it almost seemed like this was a pilot. They made this as they filmed it as a pilot for a TV series. So they left it very gappy. I don't know if that makes sense. There's lots of little gaps here and there, like you could put commercials in there or something. I don't know. But the thing is that that's the feeling I got. And it seemed to me like it was a cross between when you have four writers that people were coming in and fixing the mistakes from the first person that wrote or something, or and then adding their 2 cents in. You see what I mean? It gets jumbly. Like I've said this many times in the script writing, if it's got too many writers and they all have different perspectives of where they want the story to go or what's in it, then it's all jumbled up. And if they're all four sitting together in a room writing it, it's a little more smooth. It flows better. But when you have someone that comes in and they just add their 2 cents in during their time that they're sitting at the desk, it gets jumbly. It's like a lot of things don't connect and they don't go together. And I got a lot of that from this story, and it's kind of hard to follow characters when it goes like that, and then it goes boring along, and then it jumps, and then it goes boring along, and you don't understand too much about how the story is supposed to be flowing. I don't know. I just had a hard time following it with his character, because at the beginning you see him sitting in a weird looking circle thing with weird windows, and he's got his feet up on the table with socks on, and he's watching space go by or whatever. And then you see his chair, and it almost looks like a recycled chair with no padding on it from an old airplane, right?
Yeah,
Tons of duct tape on it and stuff. So it's all recycled. So that showed me that he wasn't really good at whatever it is he does because he has no money. Okay. And he can't
yeah.
pay for it. So I wasn't expecting to be good. I almost was waiting to see him pull out a couple bottles and drink or something, but he didn't. But then he had that real beautiful woman that he got out of bed. And then you realize she's a robot. So she's like one of those sex bots, but she's good at fixing technical.
Are we confirming that she's a sex bot? I don't think she was a sex bot. I think she was just a piece of eye candy.
Well, no, the way he talked about to her and how she says she never finishes fixing anything because he always distracts her, which means he takes her to bed. So he's basically his interlude companion while he's traveling through space, and she fixes stuff. So basically, she's a sex bot. Okay, and he said he spent the money on her nightgown instead of fixing up that one machine. So yeah, I picked up on all that stuff, and she was really pretty. And she didn't wear any clothes for someone else on the ship compared to what he was wearing. You see what I mean? So she wasn't cold apparently, but I thought that was interesting, but he was spending more money on that type of stuff than worrying about fixing his ship, which is just like it reminded me of Harrison Ford in Star Wars. You know, his laid back way of thinking that he's just going to schmooze along and get jobs or whatever because he's so good at what he does. You know, a narcissistic character that thinks that he's better than everyone and that he'll work it through somehow. You know, he'll manage it or whatever. So that's how I saw it right off the beginning when I first started watching it with his feet up and everything. And then you hear all the bad stuff happening. And his ex-wife hasn't been paid in 3 months, and he owes all this other money, and he's doing this, so he's not good at what he does
Did
at
you
all.
hear who that was at the start?
Yeah, that was
Harold Ramis, wasn't it?
Harold Ramis. Yeah,
I
his
thought that
boy.
was Harold Ramis when I'm like,
He's uncredited. He's uncredited, but
I've
that is
been writing pulling the gang together before they go off as big cahoots in the Ecto One. I loved it. I love all the things around the main characters. I love the fact that like it looks like a world that's very lived in. The spaceship does not look like it's had an OSHA seal stamp on it at all. It looks
no,
like
not at all. And it's
it's
very when it landed on the ground, that I kept looking for that window to look the way it did when he was sitting at the desk or the console. I never did. I couldn't connect the two. It didn't look like they went together. That he wasn't in the same ship. You know what I mean? Just little
yeah.
things like that what I thought was interesting. And I don't know. It just seemed funny that to me, I couldn't get past the fact that this was a movie and not made for TV pilot because it just never got into the realm of feature film to me.
No, it doesn't feel like a feature film. If you look at how they shoot it, a lot of the shots are pretty static, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I was clicking through that. Like, oh, does your top allow you to see cable? If she stays in her top too much longer, we're going to have Janet dropping the weight she's wanted to.
That's fine. I mean, it's hot. It's a bodysuit, so it's all the way down to my feet. See, I got boots on.
Guys, there you go. Put it on with the feet. Wicked feet. There you go, guys. Fucking degenerates. Okay. The bikes in this movie are cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the train,
the two guys you're talking about that pulled up in the cavern.
yeah, the right there on the side,
yeah.
and before the Mongoloids threw the fucking Molotov cocktails at him, I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought the mechanics, the sound
ask you about that. When you saw the children supposedly that were experimented on, that were making the humming sounds and the gurgling noises from above the cliff, and then they started throwing the Molotov cocktails. Did you happen to notice how many of them had the exact same mask on?
All. It looked like
yeah, it was like every fourth or fifth one had the same mask as the one before it.
They look like brothers, or like does this mass produce the
or they were, I guess it may be cloning, because later on when Molly Ringwald makes that comment and says that they are experiments from the what was his name, the chemist or something. So I don't know. So they did try to connect stuff, but it was such a long ways between. You had to think about it for a second. What is he talking? Oh yeah, the weird looking kids. You see what I mean? So little things like that made it really hard to really get into it, because it was just hard to follow. It was very jumbly when it comes to the script. Now, I think the editing was pretty good considering the script was so jumbled. Honestly, if you think about it, the editing did pretty good.
Okay, there is a part though. Did you catch the parking lot in the corner of the screen?
Which scene?
There's a scene where they're kind of doing a pan, and at the very end, there's like 2 seconds where you can see a parking lot with cars in it.
Yeah, there was a couple little editing things like that I saw, but I mean, honestly, with the jumbled mess that this script was, I would expect way worse editing. So that whoever they got to do the editing really was good, and they did the very best I could tell with what they had to work with. So Honestly, usually I always get onto the editing, or it's a script,
The
but this
editing,
time it is mostly the script because it was a jumbled mess. It's a miracle they were even able to get what they had. Honestly, I think.
but I think after Andrea Marcovici, she was Chalmers. After she got killed off, I was
Hmm.
kind of bummed, and
Yeah.
I sat here and I painted figs for like 45 minutes, and I look up and all right, finally we're over dogs. Time for me to be excited with the movie because there's some really good practical effects between those 2 points. I love the little water dragon that they meet, and that does nothing. Like all the props look great, but they do nothing but funnel the main character and the screechy little fucking side chick that I can't fucking stand, and they fucking funnel them towards where the action is and the better actors are. And that's the entire movie for me. I I fucking I remember this film and I watched it and I'm like, I love the bad guy in this movie. Yes, I did. But I hate Strauss because he just plods through the film. He doesn't really hustle. The vehicles, none of them go over like have more than a 15 horsepower engine. They don't go over 6 miles per hour. Everything looks like I'm watching the Barbarians of North America or some shitty post apocalyptic movie, and like you're supposed to be Han Solo with at least a ship that will hold together, and that ship, like I'm pretty certain if I drove it on the San Antonio road, your ship would fall apart.
Mhm.
I'm absolutely certain. If I took it down I-40, oh, there go the bolts. Oh, there goes
Yeah,
the
and
engine.
you would think they'd be a little stronger considering they're in the desert and on rocky terrain and sand where they're going to get stuck, all this
Yeah,
and windstorms. You're thinking about all those things and that his really cool truck with the pointy thing on the ends ends up getting into where it gets damaged because of the explosions and stuff. You would think they'd be a little bit better built, stronger built, because they didn't care what they look like, because they're not going to paint them and make them look like, a parade float. They're supposed to work out in the middle of this horrible terrain. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. But and the fact that the one scene, this is one of the scenes that cracked me up was the scene where he throws Molly Ringwald into that pond thing and he's giving her a bath with soap and everything. I just thought that was so stupid because how did they know that wasn't filled with like radiation or toxic sludge or some monster was in there? You see what I mean? Little things like that is where I'm talking about the jumbly of the script. Lots of things happen that didn't make any sense because if you're on an island or an island or you're on a planet that you've never been to or you need a tracker to track and get you somewhere so you don't know anything about the place. So basically you're just he just seemed like an idiot. Like he didn't seem like he had any brains at all. I was amazed that he was even um,
alive this long
able
in
to
his
make it
30s.
through the whole thing without getting killed. I mean, it was really dumb. I mean, most of it.
The script requires you to turn your brain off. Even Overdog, he just chews scenery. He doesn't have like really good monologues. He's wonderful. Michael Ironside being Michael Ironside, and
Hmm.
I really love his delivery. And I like the fact that he doesn't have the use of his hands, but he's got the giant claws, and so he's just doing various stuff. Hey, Tommy, how you doing? And it's interesting to watch him, but he's got so much makeup on that, like you can tell that it wasn't a very pleasant process because he channels anger so well.
Well, one thing I did notice with his character, he was a good actor because the scene where they brought the three young women in and he's up, it was like they took a little more time for that
Mhm.
scene and gave all the characters the time they needed for the
Yeah,
audience to understand what was going on. You know what I mean? So I liked that part of it, but it seemed like in some scenes that they were rushing, they were hurrying to get finished, like
a
they were
lot
running
of
out of time or the director had to take a pee or
it's
something,
funny.
you know.
It feels like I'm being funneled every moment that I watch this film, and I'm being forced to get to the end. And
Yeah.
that's what it felt like for me. I might be completely wrong, but I really enjoyed uh, the best part of this movie is Michael Ironside. I don't mind the other bounty hunter, Michael. I can't think of his last name. I was almost said Winslow, but that's the guy from Police Academy. I love how all of this film is so good when you take away the two main characters. That's that's how you know like we ran out of
Oh.
budget and we got stuck with the girl from Facts of Life because she did 14 episodes, and then they had Peter Strauss. Well, he's in between TV movies right now. Let's see what we can do with him, And it just
Yeah.
it like you hear me bitch about Enemy Mine because Enemy Mine for me, uh, with the lackluster way it started, I would have rather that movie started where the wreck has already happened. He's already on the planet. I don't got to worry about his little co-pilot dying because his acting sucks. I just got to worry about Dennis Quaid staying alive and then meeting Louis Gossett Jr. and
Mhm.
having that wonderful movie take place from that point. But instead,
Mhm.
I've got a shitty '50s film which has to play out for 10 minutes, and then the movie finally starts once the co-pilot dies. And
Yeah.
that's a really good movie. I just hate the buildup for that, and I want to see the movie that I
See,
was that
you don't need the build up because you're ready for the action,
yeah
basically. I'm a person that wants action, and I don't have to have near as much action as you do, but I do want to build up, and I do want to understand why there's action getting ready to happen. You see, I
yeah
don't want to just say you see a person walking down the street, and all of a sudden there's a giant hole in front of him. He falls off the cliff, and it's like, why did he fall off the cliff? Why was he walking there? You see,
yeah. Why
there's
was he there?
nothing up to it. So that is the hard part for me because I want to have substance. I want to have a reason to care whether they die or they get blown up or they get eaten or whatever happens to them. If they die, it's like, bring in the next slob, to die. Just like the maze whole thing, because nobody gave a shit whether they died or they got blown up or, you want to have feelings for the characters. You want to see their arc go in the right direction, up, down, or they die or whatever, but you want to care about them. And that it was hard. It was hard for a lot of these characters, especially a young brat that's out in the middle of nowhere, that she looks healthy. She doesn't look like she's starving. She's dirty, yeah, but she's not starving. So who took care of her? How did she get where she's at? Why is she even there? All these different things that it just seemed like, I don't know, it was just too jumbly. It was too many people all wanting their perspective in there instead of all of them working together to make sure it had a story for everybody. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just had a really hard time following it because it was so jumbly, it was so messed up. And that's sad because I could see potential, and I could tell you right now, the prop people and the special effects people went above and beyond considering the movie they were doing it for, in
But
my view. So
in just comparing some other sci-fi movies of the '80s, real quick, Enemy Mine doesn't have a quote unquote lot of action in it. Now, there's a lot of dialogue and tension between Louis Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid, but
yeah,
there's the action at the third act, which some people felt was unnecessary, but we needed to have a moment where Dennis Quaid kind of redeemed himself from some of his actions early in the film, and he proved his value and his loyalty to his friend, which developed over the course of their abandonment or strandedness on that planet. Flash Gordon is a completely different type of animal, and that movie is well loved by the people that made it, along with the people that were acting in it. Whereas
mm,
this movie here, I don't get that feeling of love from Peter Strauss. I don't get that feeling of love from Molly Ringwald. In fact, she never gets out of her style of acting from the first scene of the movie to the last scene of the movie. She's a really good whiner. That's what she's good at. That
yeah.
she convinced me of
Well,
that.
the thing is, this is the one thing I have never really liked about her is the fact that she always plays like she's 12, even though she looks 25. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
Her acting for whatever part she's playing is always years and years and years younger than she should be portraying. I mean, she's I don't know. I just have a really hard time with most of the movies that I've seen her in. So I'm trying not to put that in there. But in this movie, she's just annoying. I mean, maybe that's what she's supposed to be, just annoying. But why in a character arc with someone who's so annoying that does nothing but bitch and moan and complain and get in trouble to where you have to risk your life to save her? Why is she worth at the very end bringing her home and trying to take care of her and help her go to college or high school, finish high school or something?
That
I mean, why
that
would you want to do that? You see what I mean? It just
that
doesn't.
creeps me out.
Don't grow to like her more. You grow to think, oh, she's so annoying.
Yeah, I completely Hollywood ending where two people are absolutely fake and acting. There's no genuine appreciation for Molly Ringwald's little character because he just grabs her and smiles, and then the credits roll, the end. And anyone
That's what
else,
I'm saying. It reminded me of a TV pilot,
yeah,
a
it was
bad.
absolutely just a bad TV pilot.
Yeah,
It got
I
it's
just
like,
didn't think it was that good at all. I was not. I was not. I was wanting to like it, but the longer it went, I kept waiting for it to get good. But it
Michael
wasn't.
Ironside really brightens the movie for me, and I'm not
Yeah,
saying that this
he was a
hasn't.
good bad guy. His
Yeah,
makeup was good. I thought his acting was really good. It's just that he didn't have a lot to work with. There wasn't any meat in the script for him. You know, he was nibbling on niblets, little tiny pieces of meat instead of a big giant ham. You see what I mean?
yeah.
He wasn't able to dig in and do anything with it because there wasn't anything for him to work with.
He really wasn't given much
For
direction on
his
that.
for his acting ability, he wasn't given enough meat.
Like we
There's
were
like
already given a good performance from him 2 years before, and Scanners. He'd done that in '81, and he really kind of blew us away, and he made a guy's head explode. But he really put on a good performance with that movie. I think that movie probably is one of my unsung great. I wish I would have seen that more often before I turned 50 years old. I wanted to see that, and I really feel like I missed out on something great. And there's a lot of movies he's done that I'm going to be watching next year. Uh, I agree with
yeah.
this part completely.
What is
The
it?
dialogue is
Yeah,
good. We need story. We need story and reason to give a shit about the character. Otherwise, introducing the character and giving him a plot hook in 5 minutes, I don't care. It's like Janet watching Willy's Wonderland, which I mean is one of those joyful things that we'll never see. I mean, if we ever get to 100,000
a
subs,
bad movie.
if I ever get to 100,000 subs, I'm going to pay Janet $1,000 because I've earned it, and I'm going to give her $1,000 in person and be like, "We're going to watch this movie together, and
Oh,
we're gonna
and I'm going to
film
spend it
I
all on alcohol so I get through the movie.
get some alcohol. We're going to put it on your Patreon and make
Oh,
it
yeah, and I'll sit in a hot tub while I'm watching it too and drink.
a paywall item. That way,
Oh.
like
But I'm sure there's worse movies than that one.
there is.
Really, this one wasn't good, but it was still better,
This
like
movie
10
came
times
out
better.
before Return of the Jedi. I just want you to think about that. This is the year that Return of the Jedi came out, and we were exposed to Ewoks. So '83 was not the banner year that some of you think it was. We had this and
Yeah,
Ewoks.
that was one of the things I did read, that it said that they moved it up to May when it was put out because they wanted it to be deeper into the people buying tickets before Jaws 3D came out. Because remember, that's something we didn't get to see. Now, there were certain scenes that kind of were stupid and hokey because
Yeah.
this was supposed to be a 3D movie, but we didn't watch it in 3D.
No.
So when that guy's got the needle and he's going like that, and he
Yeah.
just stands there with it, we're not seeing it the way we're supposed to see it. And there was a lot of scenes like that with the Molotov cocktails being thrown, little things like that. We're supposed to be 3D because you're supposed to dodge and think it's going to hit you, because it's
Yeah,
coming for you. But it wasn't, because so we missed out on that aspect. So I can't rate it as bad as I would because it wasn't meant to have that be seen the way we watched it. See.
yes.
So,
I gotta say
Right.
that we are going to
It
watch
is tough.
Megaforce. Megaforce will be watched probably in December because that's going to be like the last cheesy movie of the year. The last cheesy movie. There'll be other movies, but
Yeah,
in December. But we're going to watch Megaforce this year because I love Barry Bostwick. I think he's amazing.
I
Janet
know.
loves
We watched. What was the name of the one? The president that was a
FDR.
rebel.
Badass.
Yeah.
If you've seen a good
Oh, that one scene though. Oh my God, I barely made it through that one scene.
Yeah, I heard Janet almost throw up. It was great.
It was disgusting. I mean, that was so disgusting. I can't
We got
believe
a
that
question.
actually put that in a movie because it looked real. I mean, he probably really did do
You
that.
probably really shit in a jar.
I think he did. It was so. Just thinking about it right now, I get nauseated thinking about it. So it's like really nasty. But what is it? What are you putting up there? Because
Um,
I just want to let everybody know I can't talk to you in the chat unless I go to my channel to do it. And so I'm
she's
reading what
using
people are
her
writing, but
phone,
I
so she
can't
text
really do
back.
anything. So I'm acknowledging that I see it.
Tommy, Mr. Man, I hope you're doing well. Xenocore says something funny because Megaforce is better than this, but they had Hal Needham and they have Barry Bostwick. I'm I'm not sorry. I think that guy was one of the better actors that just kind of got shuffled off in the 80s kind of prematurely because he was a fucking ham. He was a ham of Shatner quality. And we were
Yeah, I
denied
liked him.
scripts.
I liked
He's
him as an actor.
no. You haven't seen Megaforce yet, and
Mm-mm.
Megaforce has got some amazing cheddar in it. This movie's got some cheese. Don't get me wrong, and it's got it. I'm not gonna just beat up on his kidneys for just the joy of thrashing someone to death, but this movie has some really great parts in it. I do love all the effort the prop masters went into. I think the
Mhm.
miniatures at the very end of the film, when the destruction of the overdog's
I heard
lair.
you laugh when the ship went by. That one ship.
Yeah,
You said that's what the whole budget went or something.
there was the whole
Big
budget
number.
right there. This fucking first 5 minutes of the film. Uh,
Oh, that was
but
funny.
then it pans to Strauss, and you hear Harold Ramis telling him all the stuff on the voice recorder. Your wife hasn't been
Mhm.
paid or child support.
I know what he was telling about your wife is calling because she hasn't been gotten any money in 3 months. Stuff like that, your ex-wife. So yeah, that was funny. There
Uh,
was some funny stuff. I'm not saying it wasn't, but to me it
yeah,
was there wasn't enough
and
of
Ivan
that to
Reitman
make up
wanted it
for
to
the
be a
bad
comedy.
stuff.
He didn't have a big hand on the script, and I can see it because Ivan Reitman, when he gets his hand on a script, like it turns out like gold. I'm not saying he's
These
everything is
are
good.
I got these for my elbows, but I've slid them down because I've been waiting for a little while and it started making my hands go numb. See, on my elbow.
Yikes. God, guys, the gun show's coming out. Uh, Leprechaun
But
4
yeah,
is
these
not
are,
better sci-fi
I was
movie.
trying to dress up futuristic to go with my gun. See,
Yeah, and Xenocor's correct. Flash Gordon was a piece of fiction from back in the day. It was a great comic strip, had a good story. They turned it into a bunch of serials with Buster Crabbe and a few other people. I think he did Buck Rogers as well. And the Flash Gordon serials, if you watch them end to end to end, they're actually very entertaining in a very cheesy way or in a way that we don't make film
we
anymore.
we reviewed Flash Gordon.
Yep, we reviewed the cartoon, The Greatest Adventure Ever Told, which was a filmation animated movie put on a Saturday night on NBC. And that was also the last weekend that we had Krabby with us. I should have invited Clobby over
Yeah,
with us.
oh, I
So
know. I was supposed to go on his show and show a bunch of my Wolverine stuff, my
he,
collectibles,
I miss
and
Clobby.
I didn't get to. Yeah, he was
But
such a wonderful person.
we watched that movie. Did we watch the live action together? The live
Um,
action
I
Flash
don't know if
Gordon?
we've done the live one yet.
No,
I
we
think
haven't.
we did do it. I think we did do it because I dressed up and I wore the uh, two different outfits.
Okay.
I remember I dressed more up like kind of like the princess's slaves.
Yes.
the first time, and then the second time for the animated one, I wore the blue bodysuit with the blue flower in my hair and a black wig.
Gentlemen, I must say, if you are a man of culture, and if you are wondering about these, just go on to Janet's videos page on her channel and go find her. Just do a Control F for Flash Gordon, and you'll have both of those movies on this list. It is well worth the effort for you to do so and to hear her commentary and to help her with the watch hours, because I would like to see her get monetized. As much as I absolutely despise YouTube's policies now, the idea of her making like a few,
They've been the same policies for a long time.
they have been, but they're making them more draconian and enforcing more of them upon people they just don't like us. Anyway, um, Warrior, my hands don't need a paraffin treatment. I'm good, bud. Molly hit the wall at warp speed. Shame. TBS has a price. Yeah.
Yeah.
Acting choices of the director's fault. Hey, Travis, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, most of the time they are. But I have been on a few sets where everything was going great. The set, everything was going smoothly and stuff. And then here comes one of the producers, and they have their wife and 2 kids and his mother, and they go, I want to put them in the show. So you have to move things around and change the script and do a few things to add people that may not. That's why sometimes you have people that just kind of like, you kind of sit back on why did that happen? You don't understand why that person was even in it, and that's the reason why. It's because you have that. You look it up next time you get that feeling when you're watching a TV series or even a movie, and say, okay, that didn't go right. I'm gonna look up that character and find out who they are. You probably find out they're related to one of the producers because that happens sometimes.
I wouldn't doubt that. I will say this movie does have a lot of Ivan Reitman marks on it. I just wish
he wasn't in the credits though for his voice, but it is in the trivia.
Yeah, he's a producer, but he doesn't do any work on the script. And I think if he would have touched up on the script, we would have had a better film. Ernie Hudson's in this film. I believe Reitman brought him on because they were already palling around and doing stuff
and
together.
you made fun of Ernie Hudson when we did the cowboy way. Remember?
I was fucking pissed.
I know, but it's sad that that's 2 bad movies that we reviewed that Ernie Hudson was in. So.
I mean, there's some good films he's been in. He was in The Crow. He was in Ghostbusters. He's had a good run on the convention circuit.
If there's a paycheck in it, I'll do it. I love that. I thought he was great. I thought he fit right in with the rest of the guys.
I did too. And he was a great audience character, which is something that a lot of script writers don't do anymore. They don't write a character for the audience unless all of them are audience characters. This is a popcorn snooze fest. I hate to say it. When the 2 mains are on screen, nothing else is going on. Literally nothing else is going on. When there's extras on screen, stuff is going on. Like there's a guy jumping on a bed of spikes, or there's a fiery car that looks really cool. That car in the maze was awesome. I thought
the whole maze was freaking cool. That was a lot of detail. If you look at it, even though some of them were kind of cheesy. You remember the Galaxy Quest movie when we did that?
Excellent film.
Remember when they're griping because they have to go through the chompers and they're trying to figure out how to do all that stuff, and how stupid when she's talking about how stupid it is to even have that in there. I just was thinking about all that, but basically, when you look at it from the different angles that they used, that was a lot of details. A lot of spikes, a lot of moving parts, a lot of flames. I mean, there was so much fire in this movie, and tons of it with the Molotov cocktails and the explosions. And then when he was shooting his gun, all those things, when it hit something, it would explode. That was all really cool. I thought all that was really neat. I really liked that. So those people, the people in the movie that did the props and the CGI and the sets, the costumes, the makeup, all those people did a phenomenal job. It was the story and a few of the actors that to me, and maybe a little editing, but honestly, with the jumbly mess of this script and the way that they just jumped all around and stuff, it's amazing that the editor was. I'm really impressed with the editing. I really am, even though there were some mistakes. I just don't know how they did it. I don't know how they were able to take whatever. I would love to see what was on the floor when they were done, because there was some shit laying down there. I'm telling you, I just have a sense for it, and that's what I think. But yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, is that the movie was supposed to come out in May, but in June, but they pushed it all the way up to May to have it come out early, to give it a chance to get in there and get people to buy tickets, because it was 3D before Jaws 3D came out. So they did some moving, trying to get people to buy tickets before the other movies came out, to gobble it down. Because it needed some help. I tell it. Yeah, I showed him a while ago. See, it's my elbow pads, because I was trying to look like you know, a space warrior, a space adventurer from the 80s.
I know for a fact if I could make a bot for Janet and just mass produce, like it'd be sold.
Yeah, I still want to do that movie, because I want to order a cardboard cutout of me that people can buy articles of clothing to take off, so we can raise money for the veterans. Remember from that movie? What was the name of the Major League? Major League, like they did for that girl. I still would like to try to do that. If I ever get monetized, I think that's what we'll do on my show. We'll do a movie review of that movie.
Roy Christmas speaks this heresy in my chat. Talks about how this movie looks like a masterpiece compared to the legendary The Incredible Bulk, which is a
I never saw that one. Is it a real movie?
failed Incredible Hulk script that they decided to just make anyway on a green screen with some shitty city actors from a college, and it's really, 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 really bad.
Now this movie, considering all the stuff in it, it still was better than that other one that we watched, the Dark Force one, or whatever it was called.
Life Force?
No, the other one that you made me watch a couple weeks ago, that Kirk Cameron did some of the backdrop paintings and stuff. What was the name of that one?
James Cameron did background paintings. You're not talking about. You're talking about Dark Star.
The guys that ended up dying in outer space.
Dark Star.
Dark Star, yeah. That one. That was pretty bad. But next week's going to be really good, because I'm really excited about that one.
Yeah, Xenocore, we are talking about some cheesy 80s fantasy films next week, because we're going to watch the legendary movie Lady Hawk. And
I like Rutger Hauer.
I'm not looking forward to the Alan Parsons project, but I'll suffer, because we have a young Michelle Pfeiffer. We have Matthew Broderick in his prime right after War Games. And you've got the legendary actor Rutger Hauer. And we have Malevich.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Good movie.
I know this might not be the longest review we've done. I was on a friend's 5-year anniversary stream today. That's why it got started late. But
yeah, we watched the movie, and then he went over to do that. And the whole time I'm wearing this outfit, so I've been sweating for quite a while, waiting. But it's okay. That was important that you supported your friend.
I have to look up a movie real quick, because there is actually. I was thinking I wanted to see the Fist of the North Star live action movie, and there is a live action film. Yep, 1995. Yeah. It's actually not a horrible movie. It's just
Which
not
one?
It's Fist of the North Star.
Oh, that one. Okay.
It's not great by any means. A lot of people that hear me talk about this movie get really upset that I would even think about watching this. And I am a big fan of bad movies. You all know this.
Yes.
But I would want to see this film just for the fact that they actually have a decent fight choreographer. They tried. It's mid 90s. You've got Malcolm McDowell, Gary Daniels, Costas Mandylor, and it's not a horrible film. It's is it great? No, it's not. But for a B movie, it's pretty good. Does it treat the source material absolutely like the gold it is? No. But it's a 1990s movie that tries to take on anime, and they actually do pretty good considering it's 1995. You've got some really good actors here. You got Costas Mandylor, he plays pretty decent Lord Shen. Fucking Malcolm McDowell, Choose Scenery is Ryukin. You got Kenshiro by Gary Daniels, and he was in The Expendables as one of the dicks in that movie. In fact,
Yeah.
that's the no that's
I love the Expendables.
he's
That's another good.
he's right there for The Expendables. He's a good fucking action guy. He's very good at action. He does good work with choreographers. Fist of the North Star, everybody bitches about it, but there's worse movies out there. We have this turd we watched today, and I know y'all. I know you're going to be like, Reyes, don't ever watch that movie. Nah, okay, fine. Don't watch this whenever we review it, because I want to see that because it's not a bad movie. There's horrible films out there, but there are also B movie films. There are B movie films that stand tall.
Well, that other movie that we did, when you told me you wanted to review Cutthroat Island, and I was like, I never saw it, and you said that it was in the Guinness Book of World Records for the worst movie at the box office.
The bomb at the box office.
It bombed at the box office, and I was like, why would you want to watch it? And you said, well, you thought it was good. So I said, okay, well, I'll watch it. And when I watched it, I was like, what? How could this movie not be a hit? It was so freaking good. And then when we started digging into the background and found out that there were already 60 million, was it 80?
They put $70 million of
$70 million in debt before they even started. So they couldn't have, they didn't get to have stuntmen or any of that because they had no money. So that was more.
All the actors do their own stunts, and the actors were actually physical. Gina Davis does some really good stunts in that movie because she is a trained athlete, and we actually know this for the fact that she does archery as an Olympian.
Mm-hmm.
She's really.
They did a damn good job, and the fact that they took old costumes from other movies, that were in the back, like in all the little nooks and crannies, they dug around and found all these things, and they mixed and matched and made it work, and it did a phenomenal job. But that just goes to show you, when you got a lot of people, like I always say, if you have a group of people that all love the script and they want the story to be told, they're all going to put in a little extra to see it come to fruition. But this movie, I felt that the prop people, a lot of people in this movie really wanted to do a good job. They wanted to do the best they could, but I felt like Molly Ringwald just wasn't up to the part. And the script is what hurt most of it, because I can't say anything really bad about any of the actors. They acted the best they could with what they were handed. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense or not, but
I really don't like the script. I don't like the fact that I never feel that the actors are in that much danger. Even the very end with Overdog grabbing a hold of Strauss, I thought, like, okay, well, this movie's getting kind of serious now, and then it's over because he just grabs the exposed wiring out of the insulated.
Honestly, would you think with those hands, with those giant mechanical claws that were ginormous, that he could have picked him up and squashed him like in a second, and his guts and everything would have came out?
I would have loved that.
He didn't have to fight. He didn't have to fight or anything. He just squeezed him, and he's a pimple. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It was drawn out longer than it needed to be. So. Yeah, we did Ice Pirates.
Ice Pirates was a great movie, ruined by the studio. And if
the herpes, that killed me. The whole space herpes thing, and that was a little bit a jumbled mess too. The script had lots of mistakes.
Well, the
lots of
the
gaps.
whole
I,
studio
that
had
was
fucked that movie
mostly,
up.
I think, because of editing. See, like I said,
You,
I do
you
ride
couldn't do
editing a lot when it comes to the music, and it comes to the. It's like either sometimes I've seen a few movies too that seems like they edited it to put it on TV and the commercials were going to go in, but then I find out it was never on TV. That's how bad the editing was. So, I try to find out why the editing's bad, but sometimes they just have like what I said in that one movie that they tried to sabotage, they tried to bring in a shitty editor and sneak them in there and let them chop it all to bits,
Well,
right?
that's what happened at the very end of Ice Pirates. The third
Yeah,
act
I know
was
lots of things like
absolute
that
shit.
happen because another studio is wanting to see this other studio go, down, or that movie to go down because they don't want it
We
to be
found out the
successful.
studio head was changed over at MGM, and he
Hmm.
went out of his way to ruin every sci-fi movie that came out that year that they touched. And
Yep.
you went and fucking found the work. We actually have it on the video where the studio high guy came in and he rewrote some endings and cut out like whole portions of like Act Three. And
Yep.
what they have left is this jumbled piece of shit. And the movie deserved so much more. And
Hmm.
sadly, we don't have those actors that are still there that are in the movie. I believe Robert died a couple of years ago, and
Yeah.
it's been one of those things where it's just kind of a sore spot for me after finding out that this movie, Ice Pirates Cutthroat Island,
Yeah.
are
Cut them
both
out.
two movies that have been fucked over by the studios, and we were denied quality films when you can see that there's love from everybody behind the camera to the movie.
Hmm.
And I hate to say that Space Hunter is in that same grouping, but Space Hunter, if it would have had a better script, if the main actors and actress would have actually given a shit about it, Ernie Hudson and Michael Ironside are very fine actors, and they will do whatever you want them to do on camera. They'll follow your lead, and they'll do the best they can. Peter
Hmm.
Strauss does not convince me that he's deserving of 5 Golden Globes. He doesn't. And this
But you
movie,
got to remember, all of that stuff, all those awards were from TV. Okay,
yeah,
the standard of television compared to movies is there's a huge difference.
huge
That's why I
difference.
said when I saw this movie, I was like, "Is this a pilot?" Because it to me, the acting, the quality of the script, lots of little things about that part of it made me think it was made for TV script. Not
Yeah,
a feature
not a
film.
feature film. And aside from those two complaints that I've got, well,
Mhm.
three, Molly Ringwald. That's all. I mean, everything Molly Ringwald. This is like, if I could say I don't like her as a person, I'm not going to say that because I actually think she's probably just another actress, and that's fine. But in this movie, she's the F tier actor that ruins the film for me because she
Can
never
you do
gets
me
that
a favor? Do you know how old she was when she was in this movie? I don't know why I didn't look that up.
16.
She was 16? Okay.
16 only.
Because she acted like a 12-year-old basically. Is what
Yeah.
I just had a hard time because she just seemed like for somebody that lives. Okay, remember the movie with Vin Diesel and he had that young girl that wanted to be like him and she worshipped him? His
Are you
little that
talking
little
about, are you talking about Chronicles of Riddick?
Yes. Okay, remember the young girl throughout the
Yeah.
movies
Kira.
that grew up, Kira. Yeah. She seemed like she was thankful for everything that she got because she had a shitty life. She had a shitty existence basically, and she had to fight for every scrap and everything that she went through, and plus of all the animals out there because she was a girl. If she wasn't able to defend herself, where she would end up, what kind of life she would have ended up with. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
Molly Ringwald's character, for being a scrab, okay, right? The thing is, the way she acted in this movie just was not fitting for the environment. Okay, she's alone in the desert with no means of finding food, water, shelter to protect her from being raped and murdered by who knows what sick people and creatures were out in the
She's about
desert. She just
17 to 20
acted
pounds
so
too heavy.
immature and spoiled, and she just, she expected everybody to just, I don't know. I just thought she was just not, her character wasn't even needed. They would have been better off. Remember the little boy in, I don't know, I can't remember the name of the movie now, but he was a little desert kid, and he had a tool that he'd throw, and it would come back, and he would go out and he'd capture rabbits and stuff
You're
like that.
talking
But
about Mad Max, the Road Warrior
yeah,
part
Mad
two,
Max, the little boy,
the
the
mutant
little
boy.
desert kid. But he was self-efficient. I mean, he could go out and do things for himself. So even though he was a little kid and we all wanted to help him, be successful and stuff, we still felt that because of the way he acted, the way, even though he didn't even speak, okay, we felt like he could take care of himself because he's tough. He lived off the land. He was able to do things that a total grown up that was just set there probably wouldn't be able to do. They'd probably die of thirst and starvation within a week, right? But this kid wouldn't, because we could tell by just what he did in the movie, in his character, that he was tough. He'd grown up having to learn to take care of himself. Well, here's a girl that supposedly has lived on this planet for a certain amount of time, and she was by herself, because you saw what her dad looked like. He was a skeleton. So she'd been on her own for a while. Well, who was feeding her? Who was taking care of her? Because she couldn't do shit. I don't know. I just thought it was just dumb. It didn't fit. And I want, even if it's a B-rate movie, I want the story to make sense. And I want to care about whether people die or they live, or they should have some kind of character arc to where you want to see them successful, or you want to see them fail. And you couldn't. I couldn't. Maybe someone else watching it would see it differently, but that's how I saw it.
I I want to know what the chat thinks about this movie.
Yeah, the feral kid.
The feral kid from that movie.
Yeah,
This movie here, I'm kind of not done talking about it, but I think I've covered most of the thoughts I've had that
yeah.
percolated for about 4 hours.
Hmm.
So I want to know what their thoughts are. And while I'm waiting on that, Janet, what are your thoughts on this film?
Well, let's see. I thought I thought the props were great. I thought the sets were real fantastic. I mean, honestly, I thought the pyrotechnics was very, very good. And they did a great job, because I didn't see things bursting into flames. And I don't remember reading about people being killed on set or shot or anything like that. When I was looking up, background stuff. So all those people did a really good job at fulfilling the need to have the story going along. Just like I said about the way they use plastic and rope and string and stuff that looked like it was from scavengers finding stuff and putting it together. They did a phenomenal job on all that. To me, it was very believable and realistic, the way things were set up. Even the maze with all the vehicles and the fire and the stuff falling on people and knives coming out of the wall and all that stuff. There was so much detail in there. The prop department and the pyrotechnics people, the makeup, costumes, all of them, I'm giving them a really high rating, because they did a really good job. But the four people that jumbled up the script for whatever reason, I don't know how the script supervisor survived trying to keep up with it, because it was a mess. And the editing needed a lot of work, but I can see why the editing would have a hard time, because of the script being so. I don't know how the director just said he must have been drinking a lot, whoever it was, because they just didn't seem like they came to work each day caring whether or not it was going to be successful, which is sad to say. So basically, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. That's what my score is going to be.
That's actually pretty close to where I'm at. And
That's all because of the sets, the music, all the different things that they did to try to make this an entertaining movie. They all worked their ass off, and I could definitely tell, because they did a good job. All of that stuff was great. It's just the other things brought it down.
Tommy got bored by the Cutthroat Island, which that's respectable. I found the movie to be pretty good. I think there's a lot of it that it deserves some unnecessary hate, but there are some lulls and
Mhm.
it's not this swashbuckling movie. It could be, but the fact that everybody's doing their own stunts and the fact that it did maintain the pace to keep what was a 2 hour
Yeah,
long movie.
that's what brought it up for me was once we researched it and found out they were in debt at 70 million in debt before they even started filming. So they all were scratching to try to find any way to be able to get the film done. I was shocked that they even were able to make it. I mean,
I
as good as it ended up being, it was shocking to me. And I still think of that about it.
um I love Space or Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's one of my favorite schlock films. Or Lloyd Christmas. You obviously
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
was pretty good. I liked it myself.
Once a year, and actually YouTube has it for free on my premium
The
account.
cotton candy gun. Oh, I would love that. I would love to be wrapped up in cotton candy and have to eat my way out of it.
You you die though. That's the thing. You just get stuffed in cotton candy, and then they shuttle you on the boat, and then you go off to space and get eaten.
They stick a straw in you like
Yeah,
a big spider.
that's
But I
what
just
they're.
thought that was so cool. I love that. And then the fact that you could kill them by popping their noses. I just thought it was very good. The whole thing, the schlockiness of it, it's made to be that way,
Yeah.
and it was good. It was fun, entertaining.
See, I really like I really like the feral kid from this movie, and his
Made it
name
really,
is
it brought realism in because
yeah.
it showed that people were reproducing, so that the world was going to grow again. People were going to evolve and bring in new life, and those kids were the ones that were going to be the next generation to bring us back to humanity, basically. And you need that because if there's no kids at all, then that means that they're not going to. Nobody's going to survive. So why fight?
We
There's
really
nothing
don't
wrong.
know much about Emil Minty, the young kid from the Road Warrior. He was born in '72. That's about all we've got.
Yeah.
Did a few movies: The Road to Alice, The Winds of Jara. He was a voiceover actor for Wasteland Part 3, which is supposed to be a
Mhm.
good XCOM like game. And that's the last thing he did, which I really kind of wish he'd done more of.
Probably got married and had a
Probably
family.
a normal guy, probably in his mid 50s now.
Hmm.
Uh, 2006, he was on Where Are They Now as a guest on there. So that's what he did.
He's from Australia too, right?
What? Yeah, he's from New Zealand.
Yeah.
New
Okay.
Zealand.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, I'm happy for him. He did good, and he can always talk about being in such a great movie, and everybody will know who he is when he talks to him. So that was a
I
hit
think
movie.
it's a 5.4 for me.
Hmm.
And
That's fair.
I think 5.4 is about as good as I can give because the script is bad. I don't like Molly Ringwald in it. Actually, there's very few things that she's in that I like. And I got reminded today that she was in the 1990s The Stand, and she was Gary Sinise's squeeze that he helped her birth her child in that
Mhm.
movie. And I forgot completely about that. And that's a really good mini series because I was 19 when that came out. I thought it was just amazing to watch. It was fun. It was taut. It was pretty much an echo of the book. Stephen King did the cutting of the book to do the script, which I felt
Mhm.
was good. And I was just very impressed that we had such a good movie. And
Yeah.
it's not often that we get a good movie like that that's ported from a book or from another piece of media. Usually, when you have an adaptation, it sucks.
Yeah.
Oh,
The Stand I was impressed with because I watched it when it was on television. I don't know
uh,
what year
this
it was, but it was scary. The whole aspect of all how that unfolded and stuff was really really scary. I thought.
I was in Ingleside at the time whenever that came out. Would you read this, please?
For what it was, Space Hunter wasn't bad. I've seen worse. It shows its age, but there's nuggets of flavor in this mix. I'll give it a solid 60 out of 100. That's the same score I gave it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. It had so much potential if they would just made a few different choices with,
yeah.
you know, and
I
they'd worked. more in tune. If they got the 4 writers to sit down together and write the script, or if they had one person writing it and then they decided this is terrible, we got to fix it, then bring in other people, but have them sit down and say, with the director, this is what we need to do, instead of just adding tidbits here and there and trying to piece it together the cheap way. And it shows. It really did hurt that script.
Yeah, it does. It's painful
It's
to watch.
sad because when that happens, I think, because a lot of people worked really hard. As you see at the end, when you see all the credits go by, there was a lot of people at work on this. And a lot of people, you could tell by looking at it, that they worked hard and that they did their best to make it as successful as they did, because you could tell by looking at the costumes and the makeup and the sets and everything that there was a lot of work put in there. The detail just in the maze, the working, because the people were back there moving that stuff back and forth and all that stuff. Because when you have actors in it, they usually don't. I've never seen them use actual automated shit. It's a person doing it, so it's safer. But yeah, it was good. I mean, some of it was really good and very. I thought, because nail biting type of thing, especially when that young boy was in there and he was trying to climb up the side and all that. I felt sorry for him, and they were all watching him like animals. That was sad. So there was some really good stuff in it. It's just that it was just in a bad bad story. There was good tidbits in there, but
So I went and found on YouTube, if you want to watch this Fist of the North Star, I want to put this in. I know some of you don't want to watch this, but you don't have to. Um, this is Fist of the North Star. Just go ahead and watch that. It's free. Somebody's got their logo on there, but it looks like it's in English. It's free, and it's an hour and 20 minutes. Um, Speaking of reboot, maybe this could use reboot like the Thing did for Who Goes There. We'd have to redo the main character because I want to make sure that he's a little bit more scrappy, a little bit more light on his feet. I want to be more like the Howard version of Conan in the books, not like the Arnold version of Conan in the movie. I don't mind a Arnold film, Conan, but I really prefer the cat-like movements that he's got in the prose, and I think that this character would benefit from that. We can get rid of
yeah, you're talking about rebooting this movie that we just were talking
this
about.
movie just
If they
completely.
do, if they ever decide to do it, to make sure that the kid is younger, looks like a real 11, 12-year-old,
Yeah,
and make sure they're skinnier, and you know he sees somebody harassing, or they're in a cage or something like that, to make it more believable about bringing them in, even if they're a little brat, they're a little mouthy, they don't shut up. Remember in Jurassic Park when the young boy was hanging out with the lead character, and the girl kept pushing him because she liked him and would see how he acted with kids, and the little boy was asking him all these questions because he read his book and he thought he was so cool. He was annoying, but he looked like a little kid and he acted like a little kid. He didn't look like a young woman that was acting 12 when she's almost 20. You see what I mean? It just did. Her character that she portrayed did not fit what she looked like in this
no,
part.
it doesn't,
So
and that's one of the main
they
reasons.
redo it, and they do it in a position to where it's believable that this guy would want to take him under his wing at the end. It could work out. It could be very, very fun and entertaining if they, do a better job. It just seems like, uh, sometimes, like I've said many times, when you have an actor that signs a contract with a studio, they have to give them 3 movies, or they have to give them 2 movies and a TV show, or they have to give them a contract, right? So she had a contract and she did good in this one thing, and she had this next movie coming up, so they threw her in this one to fill the contract, and she just didn't she just didn't fit. I mean, that's what it seems like to me, something
Yeah,
like that
I
situation, and it hurts. It hurts the movie, and it hurt all the other people that worked so hard to do it. And this could have been the same thing for that actor. He could have had something like that, a deal. So it does hurt when you, especially when you have an actor put in something. What was the name of that movie we watched? And the actor said over and over again he did not want to be in this. I do not want to do it. The guy from Lord of the Rings, that actor. I'm trying to remember his name. He was Frodo's friend or whatever.
Sean
Austin.
Austin. Yeah.
Yeah, remember he said, "I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't." Want to. They
Casino
forced
Man.
him basically to be in that movie, and it
Are you
wasn't his
talking about
best.
Casino Man?
Yeah, you could tell he just it wasn't. He just really wasn't into it. You could just tell. I didn't know he had did that until you told me. But I just said he didn't feel like he belonged in that movie to me. With that guy being his friend, best friend, it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
And now
those
I know
people
why, because he had no choice. He was basically forced to be in a movie he didn't want to be in, and it hurts the films. Why do you think The Thing and some of the other movies that Kurt Russell did were so good? Because you could tell he loved the part, even though it was campy, it was kind of corny. It didn't matter. It was a success because the actors wanted to be in the movie, and they did their best job they could to be that character. You
If you
can
want to
just
watch Diver, sorry, if you
go
guys
ahead.
want to watch Diver Part Two, Dark Hero, I found a Russian server that's got it. Just have
Just
your
make sure you have a good, strong virus protection.
uh, get protection, everything protection. We'll grab your computer. So next week, let's focus on something happy. Next week, we're going to watch a good movie,
Yeah, it's
a
gonna be
great
fun.
movie. We're going to watch this wonderful film, and our good friend Shadow and Son comes in. Hello, Shadow. I hope you're well. And I I'm looking forward to this because I've never seen it all the way through. I've watched it about 30 minutes in, and I hate the score, but I'll put that aside to do the review
Too
because I'm
bad you
not a
can't.
fan of Alan Parsons. I don't like the Alan Parsons project. I'm just not a fan of Alan Parsons. Good, that's it. Um,
I hardly notice the music, so
the music is everything for me. Like, if I can find the OST on a movie, I will listen to it before I watch the film,
hmm
and I'll do that in the car typically because it just kind of hits different whenever you're clutching through the roadways and dealing with
yeah,
traffic. Got something behind you. If it's good music, it'll accentuate your drive. If you have shitty music, you're like, skip this, and that's kind of terrible, but that's kind of the person I am. Um, I think I think we're gonna enjoy next week's movie a lot. We've watched a few stinkers here lately, and I wanted to make sure Janet understands the value of good films. And I know that sounds like I'm a dick or something, but I want to make sure that we have a standard for good movies. And one
hmm
of the reasons that I went and audited my old videos with her, and a lot of them were like 80 to 88, and I'm like, ooh, could have been more critical, or could have been more free with a 90% or something. I could have dropped it down in the 70s, but I had a lot of movies in the 80 percentile range, and it really, like, I was thinking about that, like, let's watch some bad movies. So 54% for this movie, and next week we got Open Range going on
yeah.
to.
This is one of the lowest scores. I don't give a lot of really low scores.
No, you don't. You really
Because
don't.
I try to think of everybody that worked on the movie, what they put into it, and it's sad that you have a couple people higher up in charge that end up giving everyone else a bad name.
Vangelis or Tangerine Dream, because I do like Tangerine Dream. They did a good score for The Sorcerer, one of my favorite movies with Roy Schneider.
Didn't they do the music for Legend too?
Yep. And
Yeah, I
there's
love that
two
movie.
soundtracks for that movie.
We
There's
still got to do. We still got to do the one Dark Crystal
yes, we
and
do.
the Secret of Nim. Sorry, I just all these things pop in my head when we're talking about other movies. Makes me think about them.
But next week we'll talk about a good movie. I promise you, it'll be Lady Hawk, and we're going to discuss a lot of various aspects of that movie. I'm sure because Janet has watched this movie Into Infinity and Beyond, and I've only seen it for 30 minutes and I turned it off.
Well, the thing is, too, anyone that would like to watch the movie with us, just
Oh,
send us a message and we'll invite you to Discord and you can watch it with us
have a
because
watch party.
it's fun. It's fun. We
Who-
usually have a few people in there with us and we watch the movie. Then we talk about it a little bit.
What about
Oprah
Return
was
to
great.
Oz?
The Dark Crystal.
Um,
Oh,
Agra, I loved Agra. Return to Oz. That's a movie that really we need a longer October because that's where that fits. That's where that movie fits. Return to Oz is a neat movie. It's got some amazing effects. I want to watch it again, but Return to Oz belongs in October. And right now we're kind of filling up on October. I hate to say that. I don't like telling you guys, oh, we gotta wait for next year. Might have to on that one. That one, like it's nightmare fuel. Janet, did you ever see Return to Oz?
mm-mm.
Okay.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oof. You're gonna. I'll if I find this
Is
movie.
it a horror movie?
Nope, it is a fucking sequel to The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, well, no, I haven't seen it. And I like scary movies. So, I went
Oh,
and saw
don't
Nosferatu by
worry.
myself.
It came out in like '86, so just pretend you're like in your teen years and enjoy it for like you're a young teen and you're watching this movie for the first time
Hmm.
and you're kind of like, oh my god, this is kind of fucking scary because it
No,
is.
we haven't done Event Horizon yet. I
But
like that movie too.
that's a great fucking movie.
Hmm.
I don't care what anybody says. I understand it's incomplete, it's unfinished. They will never get the footage back. I get it, but that's still a great fucking movie. That's the best Lovecraft we've got in modern era. We don't have another Lovecraftian film of that quality and that caliber, and I'm very sorry because Bruce loves From Beyond and The Reanimator, and those two films I haven't shown to Janet yet, but it's coming. And when that does happen, I'm sure Janet's going to be like, can I shower between the movie and the review?
Yeah, I might need that.
Yeah.
Take a shower.
This movie is over. Thank the Lord. Um,
Yeah.
Peter Strauss, he's not that bad of an actor for TV. Just didn't see his value here. Molly Ringwald did great in Stand. She's probably a nice person in real life, too. I guess she's a jazz singer. Thank you,
Yeah.
Hardwick. Next week on the 31st of August, we watch Lady Hawk. The first month of Ramadan, here's the joke. The first month of Ramadan, or first week of Ramadan, we are going to watch Not Without My Daughter with Sally Field. Sure, we'll get some commentary there.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet either.
It's an older movie. It is.
Yeah, my mom loves Sally Field. So.
Yeah. Fairuza Balk, I believe you got it right. She's in The Craft, and she's in American History X, and a bunch of other really good movies. The Water Boy. Why do I remember that? I don't want to know, but okay, there we go. She still looks like she could do some acting today because she might have hit the wall a little bit, but I mean, at some point, everybody does. Hey, look at this fat fucking neck warrior. Okay, so you guys have a great day. Janet, do you have anything to say before we close the balcony off?
No, just have a great week, and we'll see you next weekend or next
Thanks,
week.
Lady. Everybody have a great week. Lady,
Bye, everyone.
file 313, file 13.
Yeah, thank you for hanging out with us.
The same. Look forward to talking to you about this and Lady Hawk next week.